off, I'd appreciate it.
No problem. Ned Galloway, Mike Pruitt,
Present.
Tony O'Brien,
Here.
Keith Smith,
Yeah.
Tim Goolsby,
Oh.
James Higgins, Tommy Barlow, Manning Woodward,
Here.
Jesse Rutherford, Ernie Reed,
Here.
Michael Payne, Jen Fleischer.
Here.
So we are one short of a quorum at the moment.
Got it.
I
And
will.
the electronic meeting notice, that requires a vote, does it not?
No, it's
Okay,
just a notice.
So let's do that, see if we can get somebody else to chime in.
This meeting of the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission is being held pursuant to Code of Virginia subsection C of section 2.2-3708.3, which allows a public body to hold all virtual public meetings. The meeting is being held via electronic video and audio means through Zoom online meetings and is accessible to the public. The method for holding this meeting shall not change unless a new meeting notice is provided. Should the electronic transmission fail, you may reach out to the TJPDC at tjenkins@tjpdc.org. Notice has been provided to the public through notice at the TJPDC offices, to the media, website posting, and agenda. The meeting is held pursuant to the remote electronic meeting and all remote electronic participation and all virtual meeting policy as adopted by the policy board. Sorry, this one is the TJPDC Commission on August 27th, 2025. The meeting minutes will reflect that the meeting was held by electronic communication means and the type of electronic communication means by which the meeting was held.
Thank
And
you, Ruth.
Tommy Barlow just joined,
Hey,
which brings us to a quorum.
great. Thanks for joining us, Tommy. So do we want to do a roll, add Tommy in as a roll call, or real quick, or we'll count him as present? What would you like to do, Ruth?
I'm going to note his presence in the
Got it.
meeting minutes. Thank you.
Got it. Next up is comments from the public. Do we have anybody on the Zoom call who would like to make some comments, if you can, and keep it to 2 minutes? Anybody wishing to do that? All right, great. Ruth, do we have anything to read from email or anything like that that came in?
No, we do not.
Okay. Well, we're gonna rock and roll through this. So next item, we're gonna introduce our new member, Jen Fleischer. Jen, would you like to take a minute and tell us a little bit about yourself, and congratulations on winning the election, and welcome to the Thomas Jefferson Planning District Commission.
Thank you so much. What's a pirate's favorite letter?
R.
Yeah, I think it's the R, but it's the C. There's your joke. So thank you for having me. I have been connected. I am pleased to be the newest member of the Charlottesville City Council and join you here. I have been part of TJPDC other projects as a member of the Blue Ridge Health District. I'm a public health program officer in my day job, focusing on transportation and transit as a mode for health and improving health. So this is a nice segue into a deeper exploration of TJPDC and what gets done, but lots of familiar faces here, and so grateful for Phil for his time here as well. So thanks for having me.
Thank you, Jen. Do you know all the faces on here? Would you like us to do a round robin and introduce ourselves and what jurisdictions we're from? Would you like us to do that?
Sure. Let's go ahead and do that. There's just a couple I don't know, so that would level the playing field.
Cool. So I'm going to start with myself. My name is Keith Smith. I think I'm on my 15th consecutive year on the commission, and I represent Fluvanna County. So Whoever would like to go next, or I can call them out. Somebody just jump in and introduce themselves. Okay, Ernie, you're next.
Okay. Hi, Jen. I'm Ernie Reed. Hello, good to see you again. I'm the Central District Supervisor in Nelson County. I've been on TJPDC. This is my 9th year. Unbelievable, but true.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, well, I was going to say a joke, but it'd be a dad joke and it'd be horrible. Mike, you're up next, buddy.
Mike Pruitt. I represent Albemarle County. This is my third year? Might be my third year. It's my third year. Crazy. Huh. Where's the time go?
Manning?
Jen. Manning Woodward. I'm the Louisa District Representative on Louisa Board of Supervisors, and I'm going into my 3rd year as well.
Tommy?
My name's Tommy Barlow. I'm on the Louisa County Board of Supervisors, and I believe I went on my first year in 2009.
You have more time, but I don't think it was consecutive. I think I went a little bit on the consecutive side, but we'll have to count that up one day. How many years of actual being on the commission do you have?
I don't recall having been off. But
Really?
maybe
So my boast is incorrect.
no,
We
well,
win.
I'm not sure. I can't remember that far back.
Yeah, amen to that. Tony, you're next.
Hi, I'm Tony O'Brien. I'm on the Board of Supervisors at Fluvanna. I'm currently the chair. I think I've been on the TJPDC for 12 years. I can't remember. I'm too old for that. Really glad to have you on board. And one small tidbit is I've known Ernie for about 40 years. So there you have it.
One big family. I don't see everybody on my screen, but did I miss somebody, Ruth or Christine? I think we've caught all the commissioners anyway. Any staff want to chime in and introduce themselves?
I think we can do that. Sarah, do you want to go?
Absolutely. Sarah Pennington. I have been at the TJPDC for 15 years, and I definitely remember Tommy and Keith in those early years. So there's some validity there. Between the three of us, we can probably group think and figure it out. I work with our rideshare program, which I'm going to present some information for you here tonight. I also oversee our rural transportation program and then assist with agency communications. So things like our e-newsletter, our social media, press releases, different things like that. So it's lovely to see you, Jen.
All right, Igor.
Hello, my name is Igor Kalina. Sorry, it's my second year. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. It's my second year at TJPDC. And I work with PATH Mobility Management Program. And welcome, Jennifer, in your new role here.
Taylor?
Taylor Jenkins. I'm the Director of Transportation at the PDC. I just hit my 1 year last year at this organization, so exciting. And I oversee all of our transportation programs. So we will be in touch really soon about MPO Policy Board, all the things. But as you already said, you've been really plugged in for a while. So really excited to get to work with you in this capacity.
Go to Ruth.
Hi, I'm Ruth Emmerich. We've exchanged a few emails. I'm the Chief Operating Officer and Director of our housing program.
I will go to Bennett, even though Bennett's going to get a separate introduction later.
Hey, I'm Bennett. I work with our PATH program as well, and I've been with TJPDC for about 3 weeks, so pretty new.
Emily, if you're comfortable, we'd love it if you'd introduce yourself as well.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. And then met you many, many times, Jen. Christine Jacobs, Executive Director. I've been here since 2018, in this role since 2021. Glad you're with us.
Thank you, everybody, for doing that and taking the time to introduce ourselves to Jen. So welcome on board, and Looking forward to working together on whatever projects we might be working together on. So the next item is probably the highlight of the commission, which is recognizing our dear friend Phil and thanking him for all the work that he has done on a personal level. He's been a great asset to the organization. He tends to keep me straight, which is a big full-time job, so I'm going to miss that. So I just personally wanted to take a moment and say thank you, Phil, for all the hard work that you've done and stepping up and showing up in a real way, real intense way. So I just again wanted to say thank you and take a few minutes if anybody wanted to say thanks to Phil. This would be a great opportunity to do that.
I'd like to say, Phil, thank you for keeping things fun and interesting.
There you go. Good. Anybody else?
I didn't realize Phil was going anywhere. Where is he headed off to?
Louisa County.
Oh, yeah? Good. We need some more.
What the heck, Phil? Come on, that's not cool, man. You're supposed to hang with us.
Wasn't by choice.
Well, we'll miss you.
Yeah, thanks.
And then Keith, I'll just add, as you know, part of the recognition, Phil's been with us since January of 24, but quickly jumped into, and you guys appointed him to be the treasurer. He's been very available to staff. It has been really helpful. He served both on executive finance committee, but then he also helped out with officer nominating committee and then volunteered to be on the buildings committee. So just really appreciate all the commitment and all the time that he's given to us as staff and the guidance that he's given. We really appreciate him.
Thanks.
I have really enjoyed getting to know you through this work, Phil, and elsewhere. Really valued your opinion and perspective as one of the handful of non-electeds in the room. Someone who can speak with a little bit more directness than sometimes I feel like we can. And your perspective and contributions will be really missed.
You're here. Anybody else? Phil, would you like to say a few words?
Well, I appreciate the warm arrivederci. I do want to say that this was not my decision. I was replaced in the middle of my term. So I want to say that I have found the work here to be extremely gratifying, and I really appreciated the opportunity to get to know you and the work of the commission. And I was looking forward to doing more, but there we have it. I stuck around as the treasurer because technically the treasurer doesn't have to be a commissioner. So I continued to treasury in January and was happy to do that. Just to clarify the confusion, I have resigned from the Planning Commission. I did that, frankly, in response to the nature of my departure from this committee. So if there's any confusion about that, I had a couple of people address that and saying, oh, what happened? And being confused on the timeline. But that's the nature of what happened here. But not to cast a pall on this, I have really enjoyed my time with you. I've really enjoyed the work of the commission. If there's anything I can do to push anything along, or I'm not shy about offering opinions, but if you want to go ahead and solicit them from me, I'm more than happy to provide them. But I really did enjoy working with all of you. I hope that I'll have an opportunity to engage with some of you in the future.
Thanks, Phil. Keep your ear open. I might tag you for a slot on the Regional Housing Partnership. We need some folks on there. So this might just be a slight pivot for you, my friend.
All right. Well, I'm around. But no, I do appreciate it. I enjoyed my time here greatly. I enjoyed getting to know Christine and the rest of the staff. You're doing great work here, and I will be watching.
There you go. Phil, thank you very much, guys.
Yes, sir. I'll check out.
You can stay if you'd like. It's a public meeting. Our next item is we have to now formally appoint a treasurer to fill the rest of the term up. I've had a conversation with Ned. Ned would be willing to fill that short-term slot up until the next election cycle, which is in June or July, if I remember correctly. So unless somebody else would be interested in that position, I would like to see if I can get a first and second and formally.
So moved.
There you go.
Second.
I got a first from Tommy and I didn't hear the second.
Manning.
Manning. Thank you, Manning. Do we need to do a roll call vote on this, Christine, or is a simple aye vote? Okay, great.
Aye, it's fine.
So, pardon?
Ruth
A
said
simple
aye
aye
is
is fine.
fine, but we have to be able to hear and see anybody voting for an electronic meeting. So if everybody could come off of mute if we're not
Tony,
gonna do roll call.
you need to put your camera on and come off mute, please.
Aye.
Thank you, James. I appreciate it. Hang on a second. I haven't called for the vote yet. I'm waiting for Tony to turn his camera on and his microphone. He might be taking a pause for the cause. So I'm going to say all in favor, say aye, and we'll see if Tony comes in.
Aye.
All right. We'll see if we can get Tony to come back here in a second. And
Didn't you hear him?
pardon?
I said, didn't you hear him?
No, he's on mute looking on my thing. Oh, got it. Yeah. You're a funny guy, Tommy. He's not that close to me at the moment. We're close, but not that close. All righty. So we're going to say Ned is elected, and we'll see if we can get Tony to let us know what his vote on that is so we can keep the record clean. So we're up to presentations, and it looks like Lucinda is up with the path and mobility. And
yes, so I'll try to substitute Lucinda, who is right now somewhere on the beaches of Puerto Rico. Give me a second. I'll share my screen. Okay. Sorry, 1 second, because my slideshow button disappeared. Please give me a second. Okay. Okay, so do you see what you're supposed to see? Because I'm not sure.
No, we're seeing the presenter view. If you could go over to the slideshow tab that's next to the record button, kind of in the middle of the top of your screen. Up a little bit, slideshow.
Hold on, because like I see.
In the ribbon just up above where it says record.
Yeah, but it
yeah, it looks
there's
like
animation.
You're in the record tab, Igor. You're in the record tab. If you go to the tab right next to that, it says slideshow.
1 second. I'm
doing it different.
Because 1 second. I'm sorry for this.
So there's transitions and animations.
I know, like just the problem is that on the top of my screen there is Zoom bar, which just covers as far as I can see, or I'm just blind right now. I don't know. Oh my, yeah. Okay, sorry it took so long.
Okay, we see the correct thing now.
Okay. Okay, so sorry for this technical issue. Thank you for sharing your time with me this evening. Hopefully, you remember the PATH program. We just submitted our DRPT application for the year 27. And in this presentation, I'll try to provide you some background on our PATH program. I'll review fiscal year 25 and 26 budgets and programming, as well as I'll introduce fiscal year 27 application and programming. So PATH works to build coordination among transportation providers and human service agencies to expand and improve transportation services for older adults and people with disabilities. As our population grows, we are gaining just more elders who will need transportation assistance. And as recognized by the Blue Ridge Health District Community Health Improvement Plan, the lack of transportation for people who can not drive is one of the top barriers to a healthy community. This is how we started. In the first year, we secured the funding for the program startup. We formed partnerships and established an information and referral service. We also conducted a marketing study. We developed a brand. We also were working on our marketing materials. Then the PATH hired and trained first transportation counselor. We started the process of marketing our information about helpline through community outreach. And eventually we launched the helpline itself. We started our first travel trainings. We also secured funds for the Transportation Assistance Fund, which we launched in the following year. In the next year, we hired second transportation counselor, and I'm happy to be that person. And we implemented new services. We substantially expanded. We launched transportation solutions workshops, which were more structured and more developed version of the travel training we started in the beginning. And we presented all these trainings and workshops in all jurisdictions. We launched Transportation Assistance Fund, I mentioned a moment ago. It was in the springtime. We started our support for volunteer driver programs in Charlottesville area. It's Civil Village, and in Nelson County, it's Here to Stay in Wintergreen. We also started providing field trips, and so far we did field trips with seniors and with special education students. And we have a very good relationship with the center at Belvedere. We're starting from springtime till the late fall. We do have recurring workshops, and it's pretty popular there. And they are very, very happy with the fact that thanks to our collaboration with CAT, we can provide the travel training for the people who are not familiar with the services here. We can obviously also do this kind of training everywhere where someone wants to do it. In Louisa and in Fluvanna, the special education programs are interested, and we are doing that kind of travel training in partnership with JANT. We grew our partnerships to increase transportation services, and also we conducted a storytelling project. We, as a part of Charlottesville Area Alliance, together with AARP, we're working on individual interviews. We had 25 of them. Actually, Jennifer was working with me on these interviews, and we also worked on focus groups. We had 2 focus groups. We gathered over 20 people in these groups, and those people shared their experiences, insights, and expectations regarding transportation services in our region. And we plan to continue that project this year. We already, with the help of AARP, submitted application, and we want to take advantage of the data we gathered last year. And based on that, we want to start a marketing campaign promoting use of public transportation with a special focus on people with disabilities and older adults. And I think it's important to mention that throughout this project, we worked closely with Maria Zimmerman, who recently became new DRPT director. So we're pretty familiar with ourselves because of collaboration in that project. Here is a glimpse into our budgets, how they looked before. Well, first year it was our start. In 2025, you can see that we significantly raised our funding. We solidified our partnerships with Civil Village and Here to Stay in Wintergreen. Also, during that year, we received a Twice as Nice grant, and that enabled us to start emergency ride fund, which we called Transportation Assistance Fund. This is our budget for this year. It grew a bit as well. Our first section of it, mobility management, enables us to cover the cost of staffing and staff support for volunteer driver programs. And the operating part helps us to cover the mileage reimbursement for volunteer drivers, for driver training, and background checks for new volunteers who are joining volunteer driver programs. And this is the budget which is a part of this year application. As you can see, it's also, we have higher numbers here. We would like to increase our support for the volunteer driver programs because we see that it really is giving us very good outcome. Last year, we helped schedule 451 rides to essential services. And in fiscal year 27, we would like to increase our partnerships with both volunteer driver programs, offering them more staff support, more volunteer management assistance, and some assistance in covering operating costs. We also, and this is important for us, would like to facilitate a start of new volunteer driver programs in new jurisdictions, especially Louisa, Fluvanna, and Nelson counties. We believe would benefit from this kind of activity a lot. There are still big transportation gaps there, and volunteer driver program with support would definitely help people who live in the rural parts of these counties. As you can see, we also are asking for $50,000 to increase the budget of our transportation assistance fund. It is very significant increase comparing to current budget because our Twice as Nice grant was $5,000. We see this as a great opportunity because as of now, we are able only to help people in really dire transportation need, and it can be only like one time event, maybe two times, if someone is in a very special situation. This budget doesn't allow us to help people who sometimes, like today I had a call, people need to go to the physical therapy sessions, and sometimes suddenly the car breaks down. Family or friends, neighbors are not able to help. There is no jaunt service, and then they cannot go and have their dialysis or physical therapy sessions. So a significant increase of this budget would help us assist people in this kind of situations. We obviously still are providing our primary service, the one-click, one-call information center, where we inform our callers about all transportation services in our region. We help non-drivers navigate the transit system here, and we help them find the best ride for their needs if there is such service available. This is a highlight of the services we developed this year. Our transportation solutions workshops were really successful. We had 21 workshops and travel trainings, and a total of 234 people participated. Out of them, 185 were people with disabilities and seniors. 49 were other folks. We obviously are dedicated and focused on helping people with disabilities and older adults. But if anyone wants to participate, we welcome anyone during our workshops. So also we have such audience and participants during our activities. We do not want to duplicate or replace any service. We are looking to help local organizations just provide transportation services that meet needs of non-drivers in their community. For example, we work with John currently on the midday service, which will help a lot, especially so people who live in Louisa and Fluvanna County, where this lack of midday service makes them not take advantage of John. For many people, the big gap between morning and evening session is just too long. So we also coordinate with John's scheduling and with their service department to improve customer experience. How are we influencing our communities? We definitely aim to enhance transit services by providing a centralized phone number and website to connect community members with all available transportation options. We provide transport education. We coordinate and support to improve transportation services. And we provide a data collection system to frame informed decisions, expansions, and changes in transportation services. So we as PAF, we would like to be an infrastructure and funding foundation to an expandable model that serves multiple stakeholders and programs in the future. So that concludes my presentation. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you. Any questions on PATH?
No questions, but spot on the problems with Fluvanna regarding the gap in between the start of the transportation and the end of the transportation.
Yeah.
I think we're going to try to take advantage of some money that John's going to have so that we can go ahead and add another program for that day, which I think will be a real added value there. Thanks for all your work.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you, sir, for your presentation.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
And then Chair Smith, this is a voting item because it's going to need a resolution of support to send in along with the application that was submitted.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not see an asterisk next to that as an action item. My apologies. So hearing that, sounds like we have to have a first and a second and go ahead and take a vote. So anybody like to make a first?
So moved.
Thank you, Jen. Second. Thank you, Mike. All in favor say aye. Tony, if you wouldn't mind turning your camera on, we have to see you during votes, please.
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
Aye.
All righty.
Aye.
Aye.
All righty. Let's try it this way. Any nays? There we go. All in favor. Thank you, everybody. All righty. So it sounds like we've got an introduction of a new staff member. So who would like to handle that?
I would be happy to do this one, and if you're willing to say a couple of things. Bennett's new on our team. We're thrilled to have him. He's helping with this same program that you just received a presentation on. Bennett, if you don't mind, would you come off of mute and just say a couple words about yourself, perhaps your background, where you're from?
Hello again. I'm Bennett Hip. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina. I was working there previously. I was working at the United Way in Columbia, so I have a nonprofit background. I was working directly with folks who are either homeless or at risk of homelessness, and working to get them into shelter, stable housing programs, financial assistance, that kind of thing. So I've got a passion for helping folks out and trying to better folks' life, especially those with disabilities. And folks that are aging. So excited to be here, and I really appreciate y'all having me and coming on board.
Well,
Welcome.
welcome. So next on the agenda is FY27 grant application and presentation and resolution of support. And who's handling that?
I couldn't cover me. That is Sarah, and she's going to pull up her presentation, and then Ms. Pennington will do that presentation.
Okay,
this
great.
would also at the end is also a voting item to approve the resolution of support that'll go with the application that was submitted.
Got it. Thank you, Christine. Sarah, you're next.
All right. Can you guys see my screen and the correct one? This is always my my fear as well. So I learned something today is a different way to get through that. All
Yes, it
right.
looks
So
good.
also, much like PATH, the rideshare program goes through an annual grant application process with the Department of Rail and Public Transportation here in Virginia. And similarly to PATH, we look at providing transportation options and education for commuters to get to and from work. The state has two different grant programs, which is why you see some similarities between these, but they do serve slightly different populations. But much like working with CAT and JAUNT and UTS, we kind of all have a common goal and work together for this. So this specifically is just about the rideshare program. Right. So many of you, I'm sure, are familiar. We come to you every year about this time just to give you a general overview, to tell you some things that we've accomplished in the last year and some things that we're looking to do that were specifically in that grant application, which was also part of your packet. So the big thing that we do here at Rideshare is we really work to educate and to improve mobility for commuters throughout the TJPDC region. We are also partners with the Central Shenandoah Planning District Commission. So they have a rideshare program over there. We developed and started this back in 2009 because, not to state the obvious, we could see the number of people that were commuting between those particular regions. Those folks were using our program, but they were better connected to market. So we've come up with this wonderful partnership for both of us. And there's benefits to both. Even with commuters coming in from outside regions, we have van pools from Richmond. We have folks who come up from Lynchburg. That still creates traffic, congestion, and parking issues here in this region as well. So we serve a wide variety of audiences. Those of you who were maybe here last year might remember going through part of our strategic plan process, and we identified some target markets. And those were folks who were commuting from the CSPDC region to TJPDC, those commuting within the TJPDC region, and then also looking at additional areas such as Richmond and Lynchburg for folks who were commuting outside of our region into our region, again, all for employment access. So we do that through our website, through our social media. We have, or are a partner with DRPT through the Connecting VA program, which provides a ride matching service. So in that, folks can sign up and look for ride matches for carpools, look for van pools. That's the van pool coordination bullet. I'm getting ahead of myself. But Connecting VA is the main platform that we use to accomplish a lot of our goals. Also, through that Connecting VA platform, we have changed what used to be one of, I think, the best benefits that we offered, which was our guaranteed ride home program. Now, that didn't go away, it just changed. So instead of GRH, as we lovingly called it, it's now Ride Home Rewards. And we've actually been able to streamline it and make it a little bit simpler for folks to use. So they log their trips in Connecting VA. It records that and knows, and then through that same app or the website, they are able to schedule that emergency ride home if they need it. All the same criteria still apply. They just have to have had 6 alternative transportation trips logged. So we've got a little bit better of an accounting system to make sure that the folks who really need this service are getting it. They schedule the ride right through there. They don't have to call and talk to me now. So it's a much more streamlined process. And it does have a little bit of a different name change that came from the state, and that is Ride Home Rewards. But all the emergency services are still there. In addition to that, we have our employer services. So we do work with local and regional employers to talk about the benefits of transportation demand management, or TDM, as you might hear me call it. That's kind of the overarching name for these types of programs. And it has been proven that by offering TDM benefits, which we provide for free to these employers, that they actually improve retention and recruitment. So we have a few different things we can do for them, as looking at parking. We can do density maps. We can look at where folks are coming from, come in, do lunch and learns, kind of a lot of different services that can be provided that are tailored to those employers. And I'll go ahead and say that is actually one of our big focuses that we're going to do a push for in FY27. I mentioned van pool coordination. We work with Commute with Enterprise through DRPT. They are the provider because they have figured out a way to lease these vans in a very affordable fashion for folks who are interested in van pooling. And van pooling usually works best for folks who are commuting over 40 miles one way. And I say that because that's truly where the cost savings come in. And that is often a large motivator for folks to look at alternative transportation. We also offer incentives for trip logging through that Connecting VA app. There are monthly drawings for gift cards and prizes. So we want to make it to be something fun and enticing for folks to participate in. So I mentioned this is one of our postcards that we have designed that just kind of gives people an overview of the program. We take these when we go out to tabling events, when we go to employer sites. But it's really, it's a simple program. And in addition to looking for carpool matches, folks can also see what transit routes are available to them through this exact same tool. I mentioned some of our partners with CSPDC. They operate the Afton Express. We have such a great working relationship with them that Rideshare was very fortunate to be part of the process of both the studies to form and then part of the actual committee that formed the Afton Express. We still meet with them monthly to talk about ways we can coordinate, to talk about marketing and the benefits of that Afton Express that runs from Stanton, Waynesboro over to the Charlottesville area. It stops here in downtown. It stops at Amtrak. It stops at UVA. It has a few different stops. And one of the things that we're excited to eventually come on board is hopefully in the next year, we will have a new stop for folks in Crozet with a brand new park and ride lot over there. So stay tuned. We'll keep you updated once we know more. I think last I heard they were still in the design and engineering phases, but looking to break ground possibly in spring or summer. So we shall see. I mentioned Commute with Enterprise as our van pool operator. They make it really easy for both us to do marketing and also for the folks who are riding the van pool, and that they are able to come up with like one price that includes everything. It includes all of the gas, the insurance. They really kind of do a lot of that back end stuff and make sure that folks have a very comfortable vehicle to ride in for that van pool commute. Because if you're doing that for an hour, you want to be comfortable. That's part of what makes it worthwhile. I mentioned the trip planning tools. Even Path uses some of those same trip planning tools that are done by the state. So there really is a lot of coordination and a lot of partnership that goes into this program. This was just some interesting data that I wanted to pull for you guys. So since we started in the Connecting VA program, used to be called Agile Mile. They change the name of these things on us every so often, but it's been Connecting VA for a while. So since the beginning of 2020, which was a really interesting time to launch something like that, we have over 2,560 members. These are the parts that I love. They have saved 99,222 gallons of gas. It's hard for me to even conceptualize that in my head. We've had over 32,000 inquiries. That's folks who are looking to find either a carpool match or look for an alternative transportation, such as a transit route. So lots of folks definitely interested in looking. And they've saved well over $1 million from combining their daily commute and not driving every day. And so to me, these are just really interesting numbers to have, and I like to put that out there for you. And over $6,000 in rewards redeemed. So they are using those incentives. So a little bit more about our FY27 program. Like I mentioned, we're really going to focus on our employer database and outreach. One of the things that kind of changed dramatically, like everything else in the pandemic, was the employer outreach and what we were able to do. So we're really looking to rebuild a database with actual contacts of folks who truly are interested in offering these benefits. And some of the ways that we're going to do that is we're going to work in the first 2 quarters to create some materials. We're going to really do some research to come up with as much data as we can to make these compelling arguments to them. And in quarters 3 and 4, we're going to do some cold calling. We're going to work with some partners that we've already worked with. And then we're also looking to host either a webinar or a workshop. We have done this in the past. In fact, we did it a couple of times during the pandemic, once with C3 and then once with the chamber, just talking about what are those TDM employer benefits? How does it truly affect retention and recruitment? What can you tell your employees that you can offer, and how does everyone benefit from this? And there's a lot of good information there that just really needs to be communicated. So we really want to focus on doing the outreach to those folks. Obviously, we are still going to be promoting all the DRPT initiatives and campaigns. They do several of those throughout the year. Actually, we're getting ready to do connecting businesses through the state coming up in the next couple of months. One of our, the next bullets there is Bike Month, which is May. That's another one of DRPT's initiatives. But one of the things that we have done is we have actually started our own Bike Month business challenge. So we've asked employees at various employer sites to kind of come together as a team and to do a little friendly competition. And I was very pleasantly surprised. We're getting ready to go into our 3rd year, so we've completed 2 of them, at how motivating that friendly competition element was. We heard some interesting back and forth, especially from the city and the county, which was pretty comical. But the idea is that they sign up, and it's a great way to get folks who are either already bike commuting to encourage their colleagues to give it a try, to get new people into it. May's usually a good time, although last year it rained a lot. But usually it's a better weather month to get that started. And just to give you another couple of tidbits, so last year we had 11 businesses participate. Through those folks, 1,013 bike trips were taken during the month of May. That resulted in over 2,799 total miles biked and 1.2 pounds of emissions reduced in just that 1 month. So every little bit does help. Every alternative transportation trip that is not driving in your vehicle alone does make a difference. And that is one of the big missions and statements that rideshare really wants to let folks know, because sometimes people feel like it's an all or nothing thing. Well, if you want me to carpool, I have to do it every day. Well, sure, that would be great, but that's not realistic for life, and we recognize that. So we want folks to know that even small steps, and that's the best way to start, make a huge impact. So we're very excited for our third annual Bike Month Business Challenge to get started and to see how many businesses and how much of an impact we can have this year. Again, we will also continue focusing on encouraging folks to use the Connecting VA app and all of the benefits for them. Much like that dashboard that I showed you, each individual person, when they register in the app or when they log into the website, they get their own. So they can see their own statistics, which is really cool, I think. It gives you an idea as an individual, that impact that you can make once you start using it. And I almost forgot, which is another one of my big soapboxes. Telework counts. It is the cleanest commute of all because you use no transportation. So that is another big part that we want to work with our employers. Everyone kind of did a little bit of telework here or there, but understanding how to make and develop telework programs that are beneficial to everyone. We actually have a toolkit for that as well for employers. So that's the main focus and the things that we have in this application. So I am happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Sarah? I'll just make a comment. My wife and I use the park and ride system quite often. Our youngest daughter lives in Richmond, and we will meet there and take one vehicle. So we're only taking one vehicle. And I did a little math for you to wrap your head around 99,000. That at 15 gallons, like an average tank, that's 6,615 tankfuls of gas that was saved. Just to put it in mathematical
That's awesome.
perspective.
Thank you. I love hearing stuff like that. Like I said, it's so hard sometimes to think and put it in perspective and conceptualize it. But I think when we can paint a picture with both numbers and then also looking at the quality of life that folks can get back by either, riding a van or in a carpool where they can read or, they can focus on something else while they take turns. It really does have an impact. And we are looking to develop some commuter stories that help illustrate that, because sometimes I think that's the missing piece that folks need to hear. They need to hear, so-and-so did it, so can I.
Stories sell. 6,600 tank full of gas, you say.
Correct. Writing that down.
Anybody else?
I have a question, Keith. Sarah, it looks like from your slides that there's like about an 8% conversion rate from like I've inquired about rideshare either for myself or my office and I actually start doing it. And I wondered how that's fared over the last couple years. Is that conversion rate increasing, decreasing, staying the same?
That is a great question. I don't have that information on me, but I'd be happy to look into it for you, Jen.
Super, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. Anybody else? So it looks like we've got an action item here. Like in the previous ones, if I can get a first and second, we'll do a quick vote. And Tony, if you wouldn't mind turning your camera on, I'd appreciate it. So first and second, please.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Tony. First, can I get a second, please?
Second.
Was that Mike?
Yeah.
Thank you, Mike. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you, everybody. All righty. Thank you, Sarah, again. The consent agenda, we've got the minutes, November, December financial reports, dashboard, consolidated profit and loss statement, balance, and accrued revenue report. I'd like to take them all in one group if we don't mind. So if anybody has any questions on those items, please, now's the time to chat, to raise their hand. If not, we'll do first and second and see if we can pick up a little bit of time in the meeting. Tommy, I got it as a first, and it looks like James on a second. That sound right? Good, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you, everybody. All righty, so is Laura here?
No, Laura had a family emergency. I'll take this item.
Oh, God, okay, so we're up to FY26 Q2 staff memo.
All right, so this is about the quarterly. We pull the financials off of the consent agenda quarterly, just to give you guys some quick updates. Net quick assets in Q2, that's the time frame through to December, so the second quarter of the fiscal year, last quarter of the calendar year. Net quick assets increased by about 51,000. Based on a 12-month average, we have 10.5 months of available operating expenses on hand. Our goal is 8, so we're exceeding our goal. For unrestricted cash on hand, we have 7.27 months cash on hand. Our goal is 6, so we're exceeding our goal in both of those. We did have net losses in both November and December, neither of which I'm concerned about because we had extreme gains in the 2 months previous to that, and that was related to staff taking family leave or taking time off for the holidays. We almost always have a loss in December. This year we had a lot of travel in November as well. But we're still tracking a gain right now through the first 6 months. We have a net gain, positive gain on hand of about 79,000. It was about 89,000 this time last year. This is a very different financial budget for us than last year, though. And then our detailed accrued revenue report does show that we have ample resources for the next 6 months to cover our anticipated operating expenses. So it looks like we will be ending the year on a positive note. And then I also included, Laura did provide a memo just to show at 50% through the year. We are about 40% of our revenue received, 44% of our operating expenses spent, and about 39% of our pass-through revenues. That's based on the original budget. You'll see later in the agenda an amended budget that'll come back to you again next month for approval. That's all I have. If we are able to, staff will recommend a motion to accept the Q2 financial report.
Thank you. Any questions for Christine before we go through that measure? And those of us who've been around long enough are used to me saying this. I remember at one point we were 30 days from bankruptcy. So this is great. This is great stuff. So can I get a first and a second? Tony, if you don't mind turning your camera on, please, sir.
So move.
Ernie on the first. Can I get a second? Second on Tony. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Thank you. All righty. Bread agreement. Looks like Christine, you're handling that one too.
Yes, this is an opportunity that came to us that I wanted to share with you all that is a very quickly moving opportunity. DHCD, the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development, originally approached the Association of Planning District Commissions, VAPDC, with this opportunity, but they didn't have the staff capacity or really the infrastructure to support the work. So DHCD reached out to us and said, based on the success that you've had with the body program, the understanding of the grants management, the federal management, we would love it if you guys would consider acting in an administrative role for this. So this is BEAD funding. That's the federal BEAD funding. And as a part of federal BEAD projects for broadband, there's a required NEPA assessment that needs to be done to collect environmental records. And so really DHCD was just reaching out to us saying, can we borrow some of your capacity? Can we use your staff to help work with other planning district commissions that will be conducting the NEPA assessments, help collect all the documentation and package it and send it back to us for submission. We will get paid for that work. They are offering us 10% admin fee to be able to support that work. And it should be completed by June of this fiscal year. So this is about 5 months, possibly in the 300,000 plus range, depending on how many environmental assessments need to be conducted. I'm happy to take any questions related to this. We have a draft agreement that was in the packet so that you could review that. And then we also have a resolution in the packet if you choose to support it. Happy to take questions or go into any further detail on any of it, but definitely an opportunity that we are prepared for and excited about if you guys support it.
So any questions for Christine?
So moved.
Second, you
I
have me at
actually have a
300,000.
very long recommended motion, if I may say that first, Mr. Woodward, and then you can say so move to that because this one has a couple of different components. So staff recommends a motion to adopt the resolution supporting entering into an administrative agreement with the Virginia Department of Housing and Community Development for environmental records pursuant to the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program and to authorize the executive director to take all actions necessary to enter into agreement and administer the program.
You're up next, Manning.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Oh, it looks like Tony came in first. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
I like the enthusiasm, Manning. That was all
Thank-
righty.
Thank goodness for Christine.
There you go. All righty. So we are at the build grant. It looks like Christine is handling that. This is on the bike ped bridge.
Yep. If you all recall, we previously submitted applications to build. It was previously called RAISE, has now been renamed back to build, which is what it was before it was RAISE. Discretionary grant program through USDOT. This is to do the preliminary engineering for the Fluvanna Bicycle and Pedestrian Bridge. This is a project that is supported by both City of Charlottesville and County of Albemarle and the Metropolitan Planning Organization. We were not successful the last 3 times we applied for this grant. However, each time we have applied, we have received merit status, recommended status, as well as highly recommended. It's just a matter of the competition. So there is a lot of funding being requested and not enough money for all grant projects. Staff did participate in a debrief with USDOT to learn about our scoring and learn about our application. They highly recommended that we continue to submit the application in the hopes that we'll eventually be successful. So staff has been scrambling to get everything needed by the deadline, February 24th, and we are asking a motion from you all to adopt the resolution supporting the build grant application to fund the preliminary engineering phase for the Fluvanna River Bike and Ped Bridge.
So moved.
Thank you, Tony.
Second.
Who was the second? Jen? Thank you, Jen.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And Christine, unless I'm not reading the gender correctly, that's our last action item, correct? Okay, thank you. All righty. Looks, Christine, you're up next. Regional support letters.
These are both informational only. Generally, when an organization asks us to submit a support letter, we try to bring it to you all to make sure there's consensus, but not having a meeting in January, we didn't think it was necessary to call a special session. So I did submit these 2 letters. I included them in the packet for you to see. The first one is for Virginia Tourism Corporation considering new Virginia Piedmont region. This was already approved by all of the member jurisdictions, so I felt confident that you all would support this, and I sent a letter on your behalf. The second one is for Jaunt. They're applying for 2 different discretionary grants. One is for that midday service that we discussed a little bit earlier. And then the other one is for some additional connect service up into Ruckersville and Greene County. Both of those are projects that we have supported through both our Path and Mobility Management Program, and we've also supported through the transit planning and CARTA work that we have been doing. So I felt pretty comfortable submitting that letter as well. I included copies of the letters that I submitted in the packet for your review, but no action is necessary.
Thank you. Any questions? All righty. We're going to move on to the amended operating budget. Christine.
Yep, give me 10 seconds to pull up my screen for this one. Here we go. Loading. Great. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep.
Great. All right, so it is the time of year that we bring back to you the FY26 operating budget that you approved last May. Actually, you guys approved it in June. We had a 1-month delay because of the class and comp study that we were implementing. So in February, I bring to you an amended FY26 budget with more accurate projections on how we expect to end this fiscal year. It includes any additional grants that we received after the budget was approved, as well as adjusts programs based on how much we think we'll spend in the next 6 months. So the third column of data that you see, that is the original budget that was approved. That's the FY26 projected. The final column, the FY26 amended, is the one that we're reviewing tonight. Tonight is just for information. Happy to give you any information between now and your March meeting, but you will be asked to consider action in March. It is a $42.1 million budget. Revenues and expenses, I'm going to scroll down to the bottom just so I'm showing my screen. Right now we're anticipating a $115,000 gain. However, 55,000 of that, just over 55,000 of that, is actually reclassifying the Blue Ridge Cigarette Tax Board's deferred revenue per our auditor's suggestion. Rather than carrying it as deferred revenue, we're putting it into their fund balance. So it does show up as a one-time gain, even though it's really just classifying that funding over to their fund balance. The next spreadsheet that I included in the packet is just a very detailed breakdown of all of our programs and all of their revenue sources split out by federal, state, and local, as well as the local per capita contributions that each of our member jurisdictions. And again, I highlighted in green where that one-time 55,000 reclassification shows up, and that's in the regional cigarette tax admin. And then the final thing that I updated is the local contributions spreadsheet. Try not to scroll too fast. Nothing changes in the yellow sections. That is the contributions that you make to direct programs. But once we scroll over into this grayish area on the side, these have all been reprojected based on what we expect to spend and or what we expect to roll over. So as an example, for the Metropolitan Planning Organization, if we are planning for some of that money to be used in a future fiscal year, we carry over into that future fiscal year the required local match so that we make sure we don't spend it this year and then don't have the match in the future year where we've rolled that funding into. So this is the local contributions. And then I will stop sharing my screen, or I'll actually leave it up in case anybody has any questions.
Any questions, folks?
No?
Okay.
Okay. This will come back to you in March's meeting for consideration for approval. This is the summary spreadsheets. I have these same spreadsheets for every single program. So if anybody wants any level of detail on any of the programs that you see listed out on that revenue, I'm happy to share any and all of it with you guys.
Thanks. Anybody, any comments? Oh, thank you very much so, Christine. So it looks like we're moving right into, we don't have no old business, right into your report.
Great. So I included a written report, as I always do, just a couple of things that I wanted to touch on. Give me 10 seconds. I'm also scrolling to that. I did include all of the broadband data to date. We do have folks from our broadband team coming in to do a presentation update on that soon. I think the most exciting thing that I would like to share, if you guys will humor me, is some building renovation updates. I am going to share my screen. It is by no means a high-tech presentation. It is just a series of images for you guys to see what has been going on. The renovations are in full swing. Here's a couple of before pictures. I'm going to get a little bit smaller so they don't come off the screen. We are currently on track as far as timing, but as everybody knows, when you start pulling things down, you start discovering other things. And so very grateful for the commission's foresight on giving us a contingency budget. There are some things that have come up. So for example, in the last week, we haven't had any access to the space because they are doing asbestos abatement, which of course we had to do once it was discovered. And then we did include a couple of contingency items as we start looking through some of these pictures. So if you look at this one on the left, that is the existing staff bathroom. It is lovely and stuck in 1960. We are very excited to be getting all new vanities, lighting. On the right-hand side is you guys are very familiar with this room where we hold all of the commission meetings. That is just a before picture to remind you what it looked like. Here's our staff kitchen on the left. Also, lovely gaping holes where appliances at one point used to be, but they have just been open ever since. The picture on the right is now our kitchen in its current state. They have pulled all of the old stuff out. I will show you a lovely rendering of the planned kitchen. It'll have all new appliances. It'll have all new cabinets and counters. Very excited about this, as well as new flooring. And then this is just an exciting thing for us. This is all back like cellar storage space. It was loaded with decades of former tenants' stuff. So it was anything from old ceiling tiles to doors that were taken out to buckets, cleaning supplies. So we did get that entire space cleaned out and removed and thrown away any of that old stuff because we had some concerns with mold back there. And so we decided to just get rid of all of it. So we used a company to come in and take care of all that. Now we will be able to store our rain barrels on site rather than having to use an off-site location to store our rain barrels. So excited about that. And then just a couple reminders of close-ups, the condition that that lovely carpet was in. That carpet is now gone. Here is a preview. We are going to have luxury vinyl plank in this space. The flooring is not installed yet, but you can see all fresh paint. Very exciting. And then a couple down, you'll see on the left-hand side, that is the luxury vinyl plank that's going in all of the common spaces, hallways, kitchen, the 2 front staff bathrooms and the Water Street Center. And then these commercial carpet squares are going in all of the individual office spaces. You can see this picture on the left. This is floors come up, but new paint. I don't know if anybody remembers, this was actually carpeting on the wall that had been there for many decades. We asked them to remove the carpeting and repaint. On the right-hand side, I captured some images from our Ring security cameras. Since we don't have access to the building right now, you can see the new floors are in the back, fresh paint. You get a little sneak peek of those commercial tiles. And then the last one is just a pop of color when you walk in the front foyer. We don't have any new flooring yet in the front part of the building because that is where they are currently doing the asbestos abatement. We've had a great experience with the contractors. They have been very communicative, always, first working with the owner of the building, but then always calling me and keeping us up to date. We do anticipate, originally the timeline was about 6 weeks. I think we're probably pushed to the end of February and it could go into March. I'm waiting to hear back from the contractor. We were back and forth today about some of those additional items that we wanted to take care of while they had things pulled out. I'm happy to take any questions about the renovation. I know you guys can imagine staff are very excited when we return back to the office to see some of those decades-old carpets off of the wall and the floors and a fully functioning kitchen without holes and missing handles. And that's all I have. Everything else is written in the ED report that I provided in the packet.
So, any questions on the renovation? Thanks for the timing update. I just got something from Jen about trying to get back in. Were you able to get her back in?
It appears she's back in now.
Okay, great. Thank you. And so any questions for Christine on the space? Just curious, where was the asbestos?
In the front foyer, when they pulled up that carpet, it was in the tile beneath. And it was encapsulated, but the owners made the decision to go ahead and abate it anyway. Rather than just recovering it, they wanted to remove it.
Good move. And you answered my timing question.
We will have to stay tuned to find out about the March commission meeting. That is actually our first meeting in March. And so depending on timeline, we are going to be required to meet in person since this one was virtual and you can't hold 2 consecutive virtual. But I'll start inquiring now about different spaces that we can either borrow from our neighbors or rent if needed.
Could they not possibly release the Water Street Center first?
I'll inquire. I don't have I asked him today for the timeline. He just didn't get back to me in time for the meeting.
Okay, got it. All righty. Any other questions before we go into our other business? So, Jen,
I might have a brief question.
Go ahead, James.
Christine, am I to understand that the SS4A grant application received a score of medium, which is not fundable because the region did not meet the threshold for traffic fatalities?
Yes, you're absolutely right. That was in my memo. And then Taylor is also on transportation director if you have questions. They had an unprecedented number of applications, far exceeding the amount that they anticipated for this round of Safe Streets and Roads for All. So they actually created that threshold in order to only assess the areas with the greatest need. We did not know that threshold prior to applying. And Taylor, if you want to add anything or if I misstated anything, please correct me.
No, all that was correct.
Okay, Grizzly metrics and funding. Who would have guessed?
Christine, if you guys want to use my office, it's probably big enough. There's a conference room in there that we can probably hold the meeting if you need to.
Thanks.
Okay.
I'll reach out offline once we hear the
Yeah,
timeline.
sure thing.
I appreciate that, Tony.
No problem.
All right. Any other questions before we go into old business? So, Jen, we're getting ready to do our roundtable discussion. Have you attended one of our meetings when we've done this before?
I
So,
haven't. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so it's very informal. We just go through every commissioner and we talk a little bit about what's going on in their jurisdiction or their city council, in your case, their jurisdictions. And there's a crosstalk. If you have questions for somebody in a different jurisdiction, please feel free to jump in and ask it. But this is an opportunity for us to kind of connect in a way to find out what might be going on in Louisa County impacts Fluvanna County and vice versa in the regional nature. So I'll save you for last so you get an opportunity to see a little bit about it if you don't mind, if that's okay with you. Great. So I'm just going to read my screen going to the right. So Manning, you're sitting to my right. So how's things in Louisa County?
Things are good. We had our first meeting in February on Monday and had a 2-hour budget work session, which was our start of our budget work session. Louisa, we have 2 board members that are on the finance committee. And I mean, they start working probably in August or September. So it's not like, it hasn't been worked on, but they try and get it down into shape. And I think Tommy will agree they do a great job at that. But anyway, it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $200 million. And we are planning on being able to do a 15% reduction in our personal property tax. So, and hopefully and I feel like we'll leave our real estate tax the rate the same at 72 cents. So thank you.
How's the data center stuff going?
Well, I think that 15% reduction will tell you a little bit. So
there you go.
We hope our hope is within 4 to 5 years we'll not have a personal property tax in Louisa County. But
good for you.
That depends upon how that goes. So yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Manny. Mike, you're after him.
Sure. We've similarly had our assessments come back. We're looking at something like a 6% rise across the county. And yet still we manage to be having concerns as we do our budget projections. It will be, similar actually to a position that Manning finds himself in. We are looking at our expected future revenues from a certain very big windfall project and how we can borrow from the future. And it will be, I think, quite a trick to see how we can make this work and get all our competing priorities. But an exciting time.
Thanks, Mike. All righty. Tommy, you're up next.
Well, we're starting into the budget season, as Manning just mentioned, and that's always the worst time of being on the board for me. The other thing, we've got some pretty good revenue sources that we think are going to produce, but there are some bills going into the General Assembly now that liable to throw a wrench into some of that stuff, so we're watching that closely. And who knows what's going to happen, but the projections we have, we should be in pretty good shape. We're also trying to figure out how to slow growth, and we have a presentation that's going to the Planning Commission Thursday, which I think is going to be a real shock for everybody. I'm getting ready to send that out to the board members in just as soon as this meeting's over with. And it's just like there's always something going on, and we've been doing things to make life better in Louisa, but that seems to be attracting a tremendous amount more people coming to Louisa. So now we're trying to figure, well, now we got to back up and figure out how to slow that down. So anyway, it's always exciting and never a dull moment, it doesn't appear. I'm like I say, for the next few months we'll be dealing with the budget, and there's some tremendous ask. People must think that our data centers are going to produce one awful lot of money, because they certainly are asking for it. So anyway, we'll see how it goes.
Tommy, that's why you make the big bucks. Make those tough decisions.
Oh yeah.
That's what I heard anyway.
Hey, well, the rest of the board must be making it, I guess.
Bank of Louisa. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tommy. James, Greene County's had a little drama.
Yes, very briefly. Last month, our at-large board representative announced his resignation. He did not give a public reason. My understanding is it did not have anything to do with his personal health. The Board of Supervisors has decided to appoint an interim representative. That representative will serve out the remainder of the year. In November, as part of the general election business, there will be a special ballot for a permanent at-large representative. I expect that within the next 14 days, the board will place someone as the at-large rep, just in time to participate in the mystery, wonder, and magic of budget season.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit unfair for whoever steps into that role. That's going to be a tough thing to fill. Thank you, James. Ernie, what's going on in Nelson?
Well, no surprise that it's budget season. Nelson County has a pretty unique situation here, which is a different problem than everybody else seems to be having, which is that our LCI, the local composite index for school funding, went up over 15% this year for us. We already were in the top 10% of Virginia. We're now in about the top 3% for the percentage that we have to pay for school funding at a time we don't have an increasing student population nor an increasing population in the county. So I guess if we have our hopes hanging on anything, there's a pending bill in the General Assembly that has some legs, and it would be a hold harmless to those counties like ourselves that had huge increases in the LCI, to kick it back to the pre-existing one. Don't know if that's going to work or not, but the huge increase that we've had in assessments corresponds with the increase in the LCI. But of course, if you keep the tax rate at the same place, you're going to be in a problem with all those people who can't afford it in Nelson, which turns out is a significant part of our population. So that's what Jesse and I are dealing with. But on the upside, both he and I are taking the Virginia Association of Counties Supervisor Certification Training Program. And the very first module we're working on is budgeting. So we're getting a retutorial as we're going through this, which strangely enough does improve our ability to at least rationalize what we're doing. And if everything works out, I don't know what the result of our budget discussions is going to be, but next October, I'd say that there's a pretty good chance if you go to the VACO conference at the Homestead that you can see Jesse and I graduate.
Woohoo!
You paying?
Yeah. Maybe there's one other thing I should say. In October, we had a concert at Oak Ridge, which was called the Seven Stars concert. It had almost twice the attendance that we had back in the days when we did Locken. which was unexpectedly huge. And we also unexpectedly had an incredible lack of drama connected with it. There were no arrests connected with the event. There were very big compliments on the attendees and how everything was handled. Fire and rescue and everybody in the county and the sheriff's office were very, very happy with everything that worked, and so were the schools. The only thing that was a little disturbing is that the first night you couldn't hear the music, but you could feel the music 7 miles away. And that may change next year or not. We don't know, but they have reapplied to do the same thing next year. Just wanted to pass that along to anyone looking to attend next year.
Nice.
Thanks, Ernie. And if you pick up the tab, we'll join you in the homestead. Tony,
it'll be November though.
Pardon?
It'll be November, not October though.
Okay. Thank you.
Tony, you're next, but I think we have to handle a little bit of business before we hear what's happening in our home county. I believe we've got to get your vote on, refresh my memory, Christine, which one is it again?
Election of the treasurer. We only had 6 votes. We need a 7th for quorum.
Yeah, so I need you to either vote yay or nay, please.
Who's the candidate?
Ned is.
Ned. Okay, yes. Happy to have him be the treasurer.
Thank you.
So that's an aye.
Thank you for keeping us above board here. So
Sure.
What's happening in Fluvanna County?
The budget season, of course, is starting. Looks like it might be a mild budget season, which is always nice. It's early, of course, so you don't really know, but we're hoping that we can keep our tax rate close to where it is right now, maybe a 1 or 2 cent increase, which would be wonderful. It's not an assessment year, so we don't have those winds behind us. We do have some activity going on, which is wonderful. If you drive down Route 15, you can see the Amazon Center starting to be built up there, which is wonderful to see that happen. The Wawa is breaking ground there right next to the intersection of 250 and 15. So long waited, finally coming to fruition, and certainly generating some excitement and activity across that area, which is wonderful. The biggest thing going on in Fluvanna County right now, as far as the residents are concerned, is the proposed expedition project by Tenaska. That is a second gas powered plant, which is it's a on-demand plant, and it's a 1.5 gigawatt plant, which could generate a substantial amount of revenue for the county. A lot of interest and a lot of concern, and also people that are wanting to know more information about that. So that is certainly coming up. We did have a planning commission meeting in which the planning commission voted that the project was not within substantial accord, which was an interesting vote. And the board now has the opportunity to basically vote yay or nay on that. So we decided as a board that we were going to be voting on all 3 of the SUPs, including essentially it's not an SUP for the substantial accord program, because that's just an up or down vote. But we're going to take on all of those motions on March 18th. And so that'll be settled on March 18th as to whether or not that project moves forward. Other than that, while this year may be mild, we're certainly facing ongoing pressures in terms of, schools that need to be built, administrative buildings that need to be built, fire and rescue challenges that every county faces. So, I think while it might be an easy budget season, it's always a good reminder that we're tasked with looking out for the future of our county, and that's a 10, 15, 20-year plan. Last thing that I would bring to the attention of the commission is that I was down in Richmond in support of HB 422. I really need to give credit to Jeff Black from Caroline County, the commissioner down there. I'm sorry, the board of supervisor down there. Caroline County is also a participant in Aqua. Aqua is Fluvanna County represents about 30% of Aqua's base. But more importantly, they are now asking for a second petition within as many years as 2 years for a 30% increase. They asked for a 30% increase last year. This would bring water rates close to about $300 a month per family. With the fact that the lake is about 65% of the tax revenue base for the county, this now starts to become a very serious issue in terms of affordability for families and, of course, in terms of the valuation of the housing. And since 91% of the revenues that we generate in Fluvanna County come from real property tax, this could be a double whammy, both in terms of increased rates and from water rates, and also increased rates for tax rates because we have to adjust for potential devaluation. So I'm going to be fighting hard for that proposition. That proposition did pass 420, but it does have an amendment, which basically means that we have to come back next year. There were three propositions: 422, 421, and 420. And to make it nice and simple and easy, basically 422 was that a utility can't ask for a rate increase but every 3 years. The other two propositions were essentially around if a utility is being acquired, that it should not be able to petition for a rate increase prior to the acquisition within 2 years, I believe. And the other one was around eminent domain and the ability to enact eminent domain on utilities. We'll be fighting hard for those. They were postponed into the 27 budget year, but these are not an HOA problem any longer. These are a county-wide problem. So that's what's going on in Fluvanna.
Thanks, Tony. Appreciate that. So Jen, you're last. So what's going on in the city of Charlottesville?
Well, it's really a fun adventure to be thrown into a budget process. But we are also seeing an increase in our property assessments, and those went out. A lot of those were received today, as I can tell by not only my mailbox but my email. We are working on some budget areas that need some attention to kind of execute our transit and education goals. So right now, looking at just beginning to talk about increasing the tax rate to make those ends meet. Those discussions have just begun today. So we'll know more as the other counselors get pulled into that conversation. But I was really hoping for like the novice, real easy breezy. We've got plenty of cash, no problem, Jen. Just say yes. And that is not what I will be experiencing. So everyone wish me luck as we go through to disappoint a lot of people and kind of make hard choices. But I'm optimistic we'll get through that. And we're also spending a lot of time really looking at zoning and development to try and stimulate some more of that in the residential and commercial sectors within the city limits, and making some advancements in transportation in particular right now, which is just completely overwhelmed by getting out of the ice. So once we get through that inconvenience at the moment, then we'll get back on track for some pedestrian infrastructure and some big projects running through the whole city that have already begun. That's what I've got.
Yeah, budget season is not sexy at all.
Not sexy.
Not sexy at all. So I'm going to try to give everybody some of their evening back. I've spoken enough. I have sent everybody to their work emails, 2024, 2025 a market assessment. If you guys have any questions, please, and the real estate side of things, please reach out to me. I had a couple of you guys reach out, and I gave some more deeper analysis on how the school system relates to new construction. So if you got anything on the housing front, give me a call or send me a text, and I'll be more than happy to help you guys out with that. But other than that, if we can get an adjournment, is anything that you want to cover, Christine, before we wrap up? Okay, cool. So let's see if we can end it a little early and give back some evening time. So
I'll make a motion to adjourn, and thank you
you.
for your
Thank
efforts
you.
for that information that you're providing, Keith. It's
Thank
useful, it's important, and it's always essential that we understand what's going on with our real properties, and you provide an invaluable service there. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you, Tommy. So everybody in favor of going to have a cocktail, say aye.
Aye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
All right.
See you guys later.